Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. And boy, in this next segment, I'm going to make a prediction that you are going to learn about something new in air conditioning that you've never heard about before. Or at least, well, I've never heard about it before. Greg Schmidbauer is in the studio, as is Brandon Wood. They're here from Climate Control Mechanical Services, and they're here to answer your questions about your air, the air in your home, the air in your office. And it's not just about cooling and heating. It's about cleaning. It's about it's about the aesthetics of the system itself, and that's kind of the part of this that you're going to be surprised to hear about. It's something called a mini split system we're going to learn about. And if you have a question for Greg or Brandon, the phone number here is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622 WOCA. Would help if I put the camera on you, I guess. I had to turn the other way. All right, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. You showed me a photograph, and it looked like a painting on a wall.
I mean, something I didn't even realize existed until about yesterday.
Wow.
I mean, the mini splits we knew about, but the air handler part of it actually mounts on the wall and looks like a piece of artwork, a framed picture, and you can open it up and change the artwork in it, and it's completely unobtrusive.
Wow.
Never seen anything like it.
But is the artwork special? I mean, has it got holes in it or something?
The frame actually tilts open from the front.
Oh,
then
the
you can
frame is the secret.
Right. Then you can remove the picture and put in whatever artwork you want, your kids' artwork, family pictures.
All right,
It
now why?
looks like the airflow comes out the sides of the unit.
Is this pulling it in or pushing it out? What is that? Is that a vent? I'm trying to figure out if it's the one that pulls the air in or pushes the air out, or does it do both?
It pushes the air out. It's a split system, so the condenser's actually outside. Excuse me, but this is actually the air handler. Go ahead.
Maybe I need to be educated what a split system is. Maybe that's where I'm not understanding this. What is a split system?
Like a normal air conditioner you would see in a residential house, where you have the condenser outside and the air handler like in the garage.
Okay.
The air handler part of it is actually that picture frame.
Oh, okay. So a split system just means what everybody has.
Most people, yeah.
Okay.
A package unit are both together, which you'd see like on a mobile home, that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so this is new even to you, huh? This whole picture on the wall thing?
I had never seen it before.
I've never seen one. I mean, mini splits have been around for years, and I think the biggest difference between mini splits and your system you may have at home is the fact that they're ductless. There's no ducts going through the attic or under the floor if you live in like a mobile home. So it's very easy to install. The power consumption is pretty low on them.
Oh, wow.
And they're more for specific spaces, like if you added a room into your house and rather than, or enclosed like a sunroom or something like that, you can just add a mini split rather than just adding a duct from your main system, which would downsize your main system and probably not keep the rest of your house cool in the middle of the summer months.
And does it do the same thing as, I'm going to call the other one a full system because I don't know enough to know what to say. I mean, in other words, does it dehumidify the air? Does it clean the air and all those other things as well?
It does. And this particular system, which I was just dumbfounded, actually has an air cleaner, an electronic air cleaner built into it as well. So that's not an add-on. That's included in it, all in this, 24 by 24 by 8-inch profile on the wall.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Now, and the place you put it on the wall, behind that painting, there's got to be an opening in the wall somehow, right?
3-inch hole.
That's it?
Out to the outside unit, that's correct. And for your condensate to drain as well.
Wow.
That's
If you were to put it on an interior wall, you would have to, somehow get the line set up into the wall and through the attic and to the outside. That's the only connection with the mini split. There's a condenser that sits outside, and the mini split unit sits on the inside, the air handler part of it. And in most applications, that the air handler section mounts to the wall adjacent to the condenser. That way you can just punch a hole through the wall, a small 3-inch hole, and run the line set and the electrical out to the condenser.
Oh, okay.
And you just put the condenser on a pad like you would. You can put it right next to your existing condenser or pretty much anywhere on the outside of your home. If you need it to go right on the opposite side of this particular wall, then that's where you put it.
Now, if somebody has a mobile home and they already have ductwork in the home, but let's say they want to upgrade or whatever, would this be more affordable for them? And rather than fixing the big one, would the small one be better? Is it more? Is it cheaper?
I mean, it'd be quite possible. Yeah, it would be than the package unit. We'd have to evaluate the space again and make sure that'd be adequate for it. But and they work really well too in like turn of the century older Florida homes that just didn't have air conditioning originally, and maybe it's just not possible to run ductwork. The mini split's a very good option for a home like that.
So would that be the solution to the upstairs is hotter than downstairs problem?
It can be. There are a lot of homes where, let's say, they have a nursery upstairs, that type of thing, and then the mini split would be installed in there where you have real exact control of that space.
And it has its own thermostat, I'm assuming. Am I right?
It does, and it's actually a remote-controlled unit as well. So you control the temperature, you control the oscillation of the air diffusers.
Wow, fascinating. I'd like to see, you showed me a photograph of one, so I sort of know what it looks like. And obviously that's like a newer version of what you've already known for years, right?
Correct.
The one you showed me? Okay, let's go to the phone. By the way, everybody is welcome to call if you would like the number. It is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. And, of course, your hosts from Climate Control are Brandon Wood and Greg Schmidbauer. Good morning. You're on there with Brandon and Greg.
Good morning. Quick question, because we're interested in one of these. What is the noise level of one of these inside the house compared to a conventional window unit or something similar? And I'll just hang up and listen on the air. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Good question. How noisy is it?
About 95% quieter. I mean, they are whisper quiet, both the inside and the outside unit. You really have to struggle to hear them running.
Really?
That's another huge advantage of these. Yeah, extremely quiet.
And that's mostly due to because in a packaged window unit, you have the compressor, the noisiest components right there in your window, whereas a mini split, all you have is what's called a squirrel cage fan that goes on a, like you said, whisper quiet motor, and anything that has any noise involved in it whatsoever is outside, and even the outside unit is whisper quiet. You can walk by it and not even hear it, especially with outside noises going on around it. I mean, sometimes I have to literally bend over and feel the air coming out of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
They're so quiet. It's amazing. They're not even running.
Wow. And can we talk prices, or is it impossible because everybody's got a different circumstance?
I mean, they vary a lot. I would say between $4,000 and $6,000 for the entire system would be a safe ballpark, maybe a little lower.
And it looks like you have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Are there any government incentives, paybacks for this new equipment you're talking about, or for any air conditioning of a certain SEER that would be money-saving and be efficient?
I would have to look. I'm not sure what incentives are available right now. I know it changed at the first of the year.
Oh, it did, huh?
Yeah.
I do know that on standard split systems, like let's take one particular company, Ream Systems. I did a job for a gentleman. Any of their equipment that's around 15 SEER or above, they do have a maximum of $300 tax credit. So, to answer your question, yes, a lot of systems do offer tax credits for the higher SEER rated systems. Because they want you to buy something that is a lot more energy efficient.
Exactly.
But each manufacturer usually has a very specific tax credit program. So you would have to actually investigate that particular manufacturer.
Yeah. This new equipment you're referring to, talking about, is that based on a SEER system also?
It is.
Okay. And what is the least SEER that you could start out with?
The least is 13.
13, huh?
And they go all the way up to the mid-20s.
Okay. I would imagine higher up, the more cost factor involved. Okay, you answered my question. Thank you very much. And it sounds like a very... how long has this been out, this new equipment?
Well, from what I'm seeing, a little over a year.
Yeah, it's fairly new then,
Yeah.
Is it becoming kind of popular, or are people being aware of it and going in that direction?
I don't think so, and that's why I wanted to bring it up today. I mean, they're aware of the mini splits, but this particular configuration, I haven't seen one installed, anywhere in a 3-county area. And I think it's something we really need to pursue.
Yeah. And what do they call the unit itself? I mean, what is the official name for it?
A mini split.
A mini split.
Yeah.
And who produces that? What manufacturer?
Mitsubishi does.
Oh, okay.
LG.
Yeah.
And they
Fujitsu.
Yeah.
and they're-
The mini split system itself has been around for years.
Yeah.
This one particular application that we're talking about is just a different way of approaching the indoor air handler, what actually produces the airflow on the indoors.
Right.
It's just more of an aesthetically
okay.
pleasing way to do it. It's
Yeah.
like a picture frame. It looks very similar to like a plasma TV hung on the wall.
Yeah.
Rather than the head units, and even the original head units are pretty aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Boy, it sounds very interesting. I'm surprised we haven't heard more about it, Okay, thank you very much.
thank
You're
you.
welcome.
You bet. Bye now.
And in a way, it might just be a novelty because it sounds like the other, the one you're familiar with, there's nothing wrong with its aesthetics, right?
I
Go ahead.
Do some people
Not-
complain about it? No?
No, people know, that's the initial, if I was to come to your home and they
Right.
were interested in a mini split, I would certainly show them brochures and they would know exactly what they'd be seeing
Yeah.
on their wall before we installed it. That way they didn't walk in. Yes, you do have a unit hanging on your wall. With the novelty of this new system that comes out, usually when stuff like that comes out, the cost goes up dramatically, but I was actually very surprised. The cost is relative to a standard
It's the
system.
same, huh?
Yeah,
It is,
and,
yeah. Wow.
and they just redesigned the configuration a little bit of it, and it looks. I mean, we've seen one put above, say, like a fireplace, where
Wow.
I've seen a lot of
Right, that
like
makes sense.
pictures hung or something like that.
You can
And-
put a mirror in that.
You could actually.
yeah, exactly. Like you could put a mirror on it.
Wow.
You could put probably the options that you can put in it are just about endless.
Right.
Any kind of, whether you wanted abstract artwork or something like that, you can put anything in.
I'm
it.
guessing, though, the exception, well, I don't know enough about electronics really, but if you put like one of those flat screen TVs, maybe the cold air would affect its performance. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that would work. I think
Yeah.
you're probably right.
So everything else would be
It would be dramatically more too expensive because then you're talking about combining the two. You'd have to have a TV,
and there'd be no
combined
real
with-
benefit to that. I can't imagine.
Not
But the idea that you can have an air handler that you don't see, that's
Right.
kind of very cool.
And I'd like to, if people want to call the office, we can go ahead and email them pictures of it so they get an
Okay.
idea because I know it's hard
Good
sometimes.
idea. Yeah. What is that number?
291-0185. And we'd be more than happy to do that so at least they can get a visual of it and see just how cool it really is.
That's a great idea. 291-0185. If you're driving and you can't get that number, just go to WOCA.com and we have it on the guest list for today. Plus, of course, climate control. You guys have your own website. Is it ocalaairconditioning.com? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, that's a kind of a cool innovation, I suppose. By the way, if you have a question about your air conditioner and it's got nothing to do with the mini split, go ahead and call. That's the whole purpose of doing the show, so those questions can be answered. Price is probably the hardest question to answer, it seems like, because everybody's different. But is there a rule of thumb, like per square foot or something like that?
There
No?
really isn't. I mean, you can ballpark it, but that's why we say it's so important to have us come out. We will
Yeah.
give you a firm price. We just want to evaluate
Right.
the space first. I
Right.
mean, when we're there, we'll definitely lock something in. It's not a matter of, guessing or it's going to change later. We would never do something like that.
Right.
But without evaluating the house, it's just almost
Yeah.
impossible.
The biggest evaluation is one, your electrical needs. The mini splits usually go in a location that would require an electrician to come out and run as little as a 20 amp circuits. That would be comparable to a plug you have in your kitchen or bathroom.
Okay.
Two would be the square footage of the space. They are sized pretty much identically to larger systems where we use a certain amount of square foot per ton of the system. And they start out a little bit smaller than residential systems, whereas you can get like 1 ton systems. Do they even make half-ton mini splits? I don't think they go that small.
They make one just under a ton.
Just
11
under a ton.
11,000
yeah,
BTU.
11,000 BTU. And 12,000 BTUs is a ton. So if you have, say, a 24,000 BTU mini split, that would be a 2-ton system, roughly about good for about 1,000 square feet.
Now, could
maybe a
somebody...
little less.
Okay, this is, again, just because I'm kind of naive about all of this, but could you use this, for example, in an RV? Something you're traveling with, or is that not doable?
That wouldn't be applicable to
Okay,
that.
okay.
As far as the electrical needs. The other thing we need to mention too is this is a heat pump, so it's also heating. It's doing both cooling and heating.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, so
wow.
if you
Yeah,
put
we
it-
didn't mention that.
Yeah.
So what about like the use in like a tool shed or something, like an outdoor building that's not air conditioned?
A lot of people do that, or in a garage if you have a shop, that type of thing.
Yeah.
They're ideal for that. Absolutely.
Well, see, that's a great
The
idea.
applications are just about endless. You know, like I said, the biggest application I've seen them used for, also in commercial applications. I know you were telling me at one point that the old the radio station you worked at, the one particular unit had to be cooled all the time or it
Yeah.
would shut down.
Right,
We
right.
do that a lot with like IT rooms where all their computer equipment is housed.
Right.
It will have the regular air conditioning system ducted into that room, but with all that heat that the equipment produces,
Right. Right.
they may add a mini split system to supplement that extra heat load. So they would add a mini split system. That way they would have complete control over just that room. And I know the cost of the mini split versus the cost of that IT room going down is pretty great. they do not mind paying to have a mini split installed when it could possibly take out their servers.
You know, when you talk about the Sears number, and it sounds like the higher the number, the better it is.
More efficient, yeah.
The more efficient it is. Do we ever overkill? Like, let's just say, oh, I want the biggest number you got. Is it possible that I've got a small place that's too big, it's going to be overkill, and it'll somehow cost me more money than it should as far as the electric bill?
No, because you're not sizing the unit based on that. A higher SEER does not necessarily mean bigger. It just means you're getting more cooling and heating per unit of electricity. So if you 3, 4, 5 ton
so
is
the
the
higher
size
is
of,
actually the more economical.
it's more efficient. It actually stands for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Rating.
Okay. Yeah. Takes a while. Sinks
Yeah,
in
and-
after.
Really, the only time I would like, let's say you had a home built in the 1850s and it had pine floors and zero insulation. I probably wouldn't recommend putting a 21 SEER system in there until you insulated the home properly, had good windows, because that's when you start to get the benefits of it. Now, SEER rating, that works for any home. You're probably going to get a better system, but if you're
Right.
basically heating and cooling the outside air because it's escaping your home as
No.
fast as you're pumping it
Yeah,
in,
right.
any system's going to cost you some money to operate. So the better your house is insulated, the better your windows are. There's many different ways to insulate your home, and a lot of the newer ways do actually insulate your home a lot better, and they can keep that cold air in or hot air in. So the higher the SEER rating, the more efficiency you may get.
The guy or lady listening right now that has that window air conditioner and is hearing this and saying, well, I'd like that, but I think this is working fine. What about the dollar for dollar if she or he were to replace the window unit with a split system? Would it over time, I mean, obviously the cost may have put it in, but over time, would she save money in the...
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're
Because those window units really use a lot of electricity, don't they?
they really
do.
do. Yeah, and they're loud, like they said.
They're
Extremely loud.
They're loud, yeah. Not
They also,
good for this situation.
A
radio.
lot of the window units too don't. They're not heat pumps, so they're used for air conditioning
That's
only.
true, That's a good
and
point.
and the cost of window units goes up dramatically when you start to think about a heat pump. They get bigger, they're bulkier. There's just so many drawbacks to them that you got to kind of work them into a window or a hole, and if you don't have a window to put it in, you got to cut a hole literally the size of the unit. Where if
That's
you had a
right.
mini split
That's right,
installed
yeah.
and you ever wanted to move the mini split, or somebody wanted to take the mini split down, you're talking about covering a 3 or 4 inch hole versus a hole through your wall.
That's true. That's a
huge,
really good
so,
point. Yeah.
I mean, you see the houses that I see a lot of houses that used to have window units, and now they've gone to central AC systems or mini splits, and you see this big box in their wall, and they have to leave it there
Wow.
basically because
Yeah,
they have a hole in their wall if they don't.
Is this the direction that motels are going to go in? How they all have their own little gigantic wall unit, it seems like.
Yeah, some definitely have.
So wow. So we'll go to a motel and we'll see like a painting on the wall, And we may not realize that's the air conditioner.
That's a very good possibility. Yeah.
And actually, that's where the applications become more and more endless, because I have seen, let's say, an office building. I have seen them put, say, a 30-ton mini split condenser. It's technically called a mini split, even though the unit on the roof is 30 tons worth of condenser.
Yeah.
Every single office gets its own air handler. So it's got air handlers. It may have 20 or 30 air handlers attached to that one unit on the roof.
I got you.
And then
yeah.
every office has its own capabilities. And actually, with the new electronic expansion valve systems that they have, what's called mixer boxes, they're coming out with the capability to actually heat a room and cool a different room at the same time from the same unit up on the roof, which is pretty neat, actually. And so there are many commercial applications that you can get involved in where Fujitsu, Mitsubishi, Daikin, a lot of different companies get involved in, and they're very adaptable systems. They make systems that can hang in ceiling tiles. They make them that can hang on the wall. They call them the head units, basically the air handler of the system.
Wow.
So the applications do get, they could use them in schools where, rather than having vents, every teacher has their own, some teachers are cold-natured, some teachers are hot-natured. It's the same thing with the office building. Yeah, exactly.
Brings back some memory.
They keep this whole school at 65 degrees.
What I was thinking before you said that was, you're outside, you're working in the yard or whatever, and you're really building up a sweat even though it's 40 degrees outside. You come into the house, which is being heated because it's 40 degrees outside, and all of a sudden you're roasting. That happens a lot too. So everybody else in the house is comfortable, but you're at that point you're roasting. So go back outside till you cool down. I guess.
Exactly.
Is the old solution to that. Well, this is kind of exciting. I like when I hear about new things and new technologies, and aesthetics is hugely important to people.
It is.
I mean, that's why I think this just might be a breakthrough for a lot of people.
I mean, you're putting all kinds of money into enclosing a lanai and making it a space for yourself. Having, like we said, something unobtrusive in there that's actually decorative,
right,
and functional, is huge.
Well, and just the idea, when the flat screen TVs got to the point where you could literally hang them on a wall like a painting, it opened up a lot of floor space. Now, this doesn't open up floor space because it's never been on the floor anyway. But again, it's another aesthetic thing that you won't have to. It'll be out of the way, so to speak. Out of sight anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as far as window units have never been aesthetically pleasing, not to me anyway.
No, absolutely.
They're just not. They're not very efficient. The way the air comes out, any room I've ever seen them put in, they run nonstop. About the only thing nice about a window unit is the fact that you can go to Home Depot, buy one, and have it running in 10 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's another thing about mini splits. It is not something that you want to install yourself. You definitely have a licensed contractor come out, install it. That way it doesn't void any kinds of warranties or things like that. Because almost any decent air conditioning company, if you called them to work on a window unit, they'd say it's not worth it, go buy a new one. But mini splits, they are worth working on. There is service for them, and there is parts for them. So you can work on them.
That's a huge point right there.
Yeah, exactly. You can have them serviced. You can have a service agreement on them, just like your main system in your house.
Wow.
I have a few houses in the villages that a customer of mine I know specifically, he's got a mini split system for his game room. He enclosed a room. He's got like a virtual golfing thing in there, and it's like his personal space. So he added a mini split, and I've added that system to his maintenance agreement. So every time I go to his house twice a year, I also check his mini split, check the refrigerant charges, check everything I would on a standard system. Wash his filters. Mini splits come with their own filtration system. Some of them even with electrostatic systems where they actually clean the air.
So he or somebody like him who already has a mini split, you introduce him to this idea of it being a painting or a mirror or something like that. Do you do anything different for him? Or is it just a matter of changing that frame?
There'd be that. Yeah, exactly. We I'm not sure if we could, if he already had a mini split. If he had an LG one, probably depends on the brand. If he could switch over to just that painting or the aesthetic one,
Right.
he may have to change out his whole system. But it's definitely something to look into. I may be able to hook up the power head to his existing condenser outside.
Just before we run out of time, I want the listeners to know, if we have piqued your attention and you want to know more, the best thing to do is to call Climate Control. And you guys want to give out your number again?
Yeah, it's 291-0185.
Okay. And does the website give this information, or is that not on the website yet?
It's not on the website yet, but we'll
Okay.
make sure we get it up there.
Okay. Call us here if you couldn't write that down. You need it repeated for any reason. Our phone number, most of you know, 732-8000 is the office line. Call Climate Control Mechanical Services, 291-0185, and go to their website, ocalaairconditioning.com, or if you go to our website, on the guest list for AM Ocala Live, on today's date, you'll see Climate Control at the 1035 slot, and the phone number is right there. Thank you. That was an interesting one.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
good stuff. All right, we will take a little break, and we will be right back.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and talk.